Good morning. Welcome to Beneath the Plates. I'm your host, Jared Elrod, aka the Iron Chaplain. Let's get into it. Merry Christmas. If I didn't screw this up, I believe I'm recording, because I'm recording these a little bit early this week so I can schedule them. Normally I do them the day before, but I'm trying to get ahead because I'm not gonna be doing anything on Christmas. So Merry Christmas. I believe it's Christmas. I hope. That's the plan. So I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I will try to keep this one short. I just want to talk really quick about body dysmorphia, which you are probably experiencing today because you probably ate a bunch of stuff that you don't normally eat, or a lot more of stuff that you try to eat in moderation because it's Christmas. And by the end of the day, you're probably feeling bloated, which then means you're probably feeling fat and like a failure. Uh, and you probably are like, oh no, did I just undo everything? But that's not exactly body dysmorphia, but it can definitely add to it. And I actually want to talk about that because I've lost a lot of weight, okay? So here's the background. I've lost over 100 pounds, but specifically like in the last several months, I've lost about 30 because I have been on a GLP-1. What it caused me to finally do it, I was like, I'd never do that. But I realized for several years I've been struggling with, and I've talked about this before, so I'll do a quick kind of recap. This cycle of I'll be really strict schedule, and then I struggle with the weekends because of the travel, and I pastor 2 churches, and so my routine is off a little bit. But the other reason I struggle is I realized with the bipolar, when I'm manic, my appetite shoots up the roof, like through the roof. And I noticed that when I am manic, I basically have 2 options. Like I could just eat whatever I want and, like causing huge like stalls in progress because, you go 3-4 days of just kind of eating however, and that's going to mess up, a week and a half worth of your dieting, intermittent fasting, carnivore, and whatever you're doing, right? It's not going to keep up with these manic cycles of just eating several days way overeating. Or I could fight it. Nope, I'm doing, I'm sticking to my diet. I'm doing intermittent fasting. And I would basically, that's all I would do that day. I would spend all day or a couple days just using all my willpower to basically fight the mania. It's spurring my appetite spurred on by mania. And it dawned on me, I remember Dr. Mike Arzatel talking about his response to some bodybuilders saying that if you use a GLP-1, you're cheating. And his response was and this was a year ago I was hearing this, long before I was ever considering. I was like, I would never use that. And he was like, okay, maybe. He's like, but at the same time, yeah, from your definition, fine, it's cheating that, like you're using willpower, then they're cheating by not. He's like, but imagine what you could do, like what else you could do if you weren't burning up all your willpower trying to stick to a diet. Like what other things could you accomplish? And I was like, oh, heck yeah, that's 100% the situation I'm in, is I'm having these large gaps where I'm not getting anything else done because all I'm doing is fighting off my appetite from being manic. So I was like, what, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try a cycle or a period. I guess, okay, I don't think it's called a cycle, but it's the terminology I was using of like the GLP-1. So I've been on it for, I honestly don't know, August, I think? August, September, October, November, December. So about 5 months. 4.5 or 5 months. I'm actually off of it right now. But 4.5 or 5 months. Okay, so that leads me to what I just said. I'm actually off of it right now. Hold on, I need to take a quick drink break. And there's a couple reasons. The main one is, there's some practical reasons with like my, there's several practical reasons, and to try to keep this as a short little Christmas episode, I won't go into all those, like logistical practical reasons. But the main one is I decided when I was having some of those logistical issues, really my pharmacy, not me, I was like, okay, well, let me come off of it for like 2 weeks. So I did the research. I was like, how long does it take? Because when I signed up, I talked to the doctor. I said, hey, is this something that I can go on and off of? Like, like I know like TRT, certain things like that, like you're supposed to be on it for life, right? I know you can do cycles, but for the most part, like it's like if you're not abusing it, it's like you're just on testosterone, right? And there's certain things like that. What like how is this like is this something like as a bodybuilder, like when I'm cutting, can I be on it for a few months while cutting and then go off of it like while bulking? And then can I like drop down to like a maintenance dose while maintaining? And he was like, yeah, you could totally do that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is awesome. So I don't just have to be on this forever. So I did 4.5, 5 months. I started in August. And I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and like do a reset because, I was going to do 1 or 2 more, again, what I call cycles, like doses when they, send it to you. Because I wanted to hit like a certain weight and a certain, couple goals. And I'm very close, but I'm not quite there. And I'm like, well, wait, let me go ahead and do while, rather than trying to figure out the hurdles of some of these logistical things, let me take a couple weeks off and I can kind of reset my sensitivity because I was basically just moving up to a full dose. Because, you start off with a quarter, then half, and then, 3/4, and then up to a full dose. You can go up to a dose and a half before, like that's the max. But then you just burn through the stuff so fast, right? And so I did 1 shot, 1 injection at a full dose. I had been on, 0.75 of a full dose for quite a while. And I had gone up, I did 1 full dose, so 1 injection at a full dose. And then I was like, then there were like the logistical issues and I had a full dose. I'm burning through stuff even faster. And I was having some issues with the pharmacy. So I'm like, well, let me see how long it takes to go off this. Because my goal was never to stay on it forever. My goal is to use it basically during, like I said, be on it like on a full dose during a cutting season or whatever I need on a cutting season. And then go down to like 0.25 or half or, whatever I find works for me, like during a maintenance season. And then again, go off of it completely during a bulk. And then, I don't know, maybe eventually stop using it altogether. We'll see how, this whole bodybuilding thing, it's like an experiment, right? Figure out what works. So I looked it up and it said to come off of it, to reset the sensitivity of the receptors, the GLP-1 receptors, they said it's between 2 and 4 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do 2 weeks. I just got to 1 dose. It's not like I've been on a whole dose for a while, or like a lot of people will be like on a dose and a half. And I was like, so I probably don't need the full 4 weeks. 2 weeks is probably would be a good break anyways. It's looking like it might actually be closer to 3 weeks by the time I get back on it. And I'm like, cool, let me do this. Let me go ahead and just, let me come off of it for 2 weeks, help reset some of the sensitivity, and I'll come back and I'll start at the 0.25 again, probably very quickly get back up to like a half a dose, and then I'll just kind of slowly get back up to like a full dose. And by the time I would be going from a full to like 1.5, I'll probably be ready to come off of it for like 3 or 4 months, because I'll be, going into either a bulk or I'll just drop way back down, like I said, for maintenance. And so, I'll hit a full dose, and then instead of going to a dose and a half, I'll go back down. I'll work my way back down to either a quarter or half a dose, and then like next winter come off of it completely, because I'm planning on bulking next winter. So I know I missed the timing for this winter, so it kind of sucks. So I'm gonna have to be skinny for longer than I wanted. It's all right. I'll work on definition, and I still have some body fat. I just still have fat to lose, so it's okay. And so yeah, I was like, that's gonna be my plan, right? And then so I'm like really thin. Like I said, I've lost 100 pounds. At this point, like 102 or 3 pounds, depending on what number we go with, right? So I'm like literally 100 plus pounds down, and for the first time, I can really see it because I do struggle with like body dysmorphia. So my wife would be like, "You're crazy." I'm like, no, I know I'm losing weight. I can see it in the mirror, but I still just feel, that whole thing. Or I see pictures and I'm like, like I took a picture of Scotty K Fitness and then was instantly depressed because I saw the picture. I'm like, what? That's what I look like? I didn't think I looked that big. My wife was like, no, you're crazy. You look skinny. I'm like, I think I look really fat standing next to Scotty. What? And a couple weeks ago, I started seeing it to the point where like, oh yeah, okay, I am no longer look like I'm an obese guy who's losing weight and looking pretty good. I'm starting to actually look skinny, and so like all my Disneyland pictures, I look, skinny, to the point where I'm like, maybe I need to bulk sooner than I thought. I'm looking really skinny, right? And so I'm like, cool, I'm like no longer look at myself and think I look fat, I look skinny. Well, so now I'm off, so I come back from Disneyland, and I think I took my last injection the day before I went to Disneyland. So I get back from Disneyland, and so now I start the first week of being off of it. And so now I'm at right about 2 weeks. And so yesterday I recorded my workout video, and I'm like right at 2 weeks off of it, maybe a couple days below. But I'm basically, where it's been more than the 7 days of its half-life, and now it's close to 2 weeks. So like if there's any left in my system, it's like not much. Like it's probably all out of my system. And so my appetite's been up a little bit, nothing crazy, but I decided, okay, let me go back to intermittent fasting, because if I don't have an internal control mechanism, I should have an external one. And so, I'm doing intermittent fasting, and, definitely eating more, but like still doing well, my maintaining, still, actually probably eating even healthier with the intermittent fasting and being off of it. Actually, for sure, eating healthier, because I was having to like make sure I was actually eating enough, right? And now I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm naturally just, eating well. And so Sunday, I ate more than I normally would. We had a youth Christmas party, and it was like a bunch of finger foods. And I remember thinking like, okay, I ate a little more than I would have if I was, if I was still on the GLP-1, like I wouldn't have eaten that much. But, it's fine. I've been monitoring, and I've been watching my weight, watching all the stuff, seeing how I look super skinny. Even that Sunday night, there was a video of me, and I'm like, yep, look super thin. So then I come in on Monday, so really nothing has changed, right? Okay, technically there could be a little bit of bloating, but that's about it. And that's one of the nice things about doing on GLP-1 is you don't really have to deal with bloating or inflammation. It pretty much takes care of that, so it's a huge benefit. So I'm like, literally absolutely worst case scenario. Like I've not gained any weight. From Sunday night to Monday morning, right? So I'm like, worst case scenario, I could be a little bloated. I didn't really feel bloated, but then like the body dysmorphia started kicking in, because I know the last like 2 or 3 days I have been eating a little bit more, but again, I haven't been worried about it because I was kind of under eating anyways, and I'm like, that's fine because I'm kicking up my workouts, and so that's just gonna, like those extra calories aren't going into fat. They're gonna go into energy for the extra workouts, and if I'm eating enough, some muscle gains, right? But most likely, like, they're probably just getting burned as fuel for like the extra energy it's taking from my workouts. I'm definitely not like gaining weight, but sure enough, I'm editing my video, and I'm like, well, I was actually not even editing so much as I had hooked my camera up, because I don't have any mirrors in my office, so I hooked the camera up to the TV. It was kind of like my mirror. I could see it. And I started feeling like I looked fatter. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, there's no way I gained weight. Why do I look so much bigger? And then about halfway through my workout, I was like, oh, okay, I get what this is. Even though, what? Let's say I did gain weight. Would I gain a pound? And that's probably temporary, from what I ate on Sunday night. Like, give it a day, and it's going to be back down. So, like, I didn't actually permanently gain any weight, even if I was technically a little heavier that morning. Still isn't actual permanent weight. Didn't gain any fat. But why am I feeling like I've gained, like, 5 pounds, 10 pounds? Like, I look like I've gained 5 or 10 pounds. Why does my face look all fat and this? And I feel like this. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, oh, this is body dysmorphia. I've spent the last 3 days thinking, okay, you got to watch this. Make sure, you're off for these 2 weeks. Make sure you don't gain like 10 pounds while you're off of it for these 2 weeks. Yes, you're going to have a bigger appetite. And yes, you're strategically using that bigger appetite to do bigger exercises. And as long as you stick to that, you're not going to gain any weight. Like I said, it's just extra fuel for the extra workouts. And maybe if you're really, really super lucky, you might actually gain a tiny little bit of muscle. Like, you're not going to gain, so this is why I've been coaching myself. And then it still snuck up on me. It still snuck up on me with me coaching myself every day. This is, all those things. I still find myself like, man, look, I look so much fatter. And I was like, oh, I get what this is. And I was like, I should talk about this in a podcast episode. So yeah, that's body dysmorphia in a nutshell. Like, I'm down 30 something pounds in the last 4.5 months. I'm, look super thin, feel great, look great. Strategically coming off of the GLP-1 for 2.5, maybe 3. It's looking like it's gonna be more like 2.5 or 3 weeks. To do a little bit of a sensitivity reset and be able to eat a little bit more for some workouts. I mean, it's Christmas. Like, who wants to be, like, I'm full, I can't eat more. No, like, I'm gonna eat more during this week of Christmas, and I'm gonna work out more. My 2 favorite things for like the last 5 years during Christmas is eating more and then having more time for extra workouts. So I'm like, those kind of go hand in hand. It's all planned. It's all I'm watching and monitoring it. And yet there I am still feeling like, oh no, I'm gaining weight. Look how fat I look. That's body dysmorphia. So I want to encourage you, if you don't have body dysmorphia, like, good for you. There's a guy I follow, Tyler. He's now, he's connected with Scotty K Fitness recently. And he talked about how, like, he's dealt with unalive thoughts and attempts. He's dealt with depression. He's dealt with all these things, but he's never dealt with body dysmorphia, so he can't talk about it. And I'm like, well, I shouldn't say lucky for you, because he's got his own struggles. But in that very narrow sense, it's like, I do. Now, but again, I've never had to deal with thoughts of unaliving. So I would definitely take the body dysmorphia. I wouldn't trade places with him. But I thought I would talk about it because, it's a real thing. And typically, it's not something that just fat, overweight people have. It's not just fat people feeling like they're fat or fatter than they are. And I'm using fat, like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm like overemphasizing that to make a point, right? And being someone who was not just obese, but I've spent the last 4.5 years coming down from being morbidly obese with like a 35% body fat. Like, I was cleaning out videos on my phone yesterday, and I found a video of me recording my son. I was sitting in a chair and had been sitting in a chair playing Minecraft for probably a couple hours. All I did was put down the controller and pull out my phone and hit record, and I'm breathing heavy, right? That happens when you're 35% body fat. Was it 33 or 35? Anyways, over 30% body fat and morbidly obese. So I'm emphasizing fat on purpose. I'm not trying to be offensive or fat shaming. Like, that, I literally just told a story about how it's only like 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, that I stopped seeing myself as a fat person. Like, I just now find, and honestly what did it is I shaved my beard. Well, I trimmed it down really short, and that's fine. What clicked, I was still seeing myself as fat with my bigger beard. And my wife was like, I was like, hey, I finally see myself. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're ridiculous. So yeah, it's not just for overweight people thinking they're more overweight or they're uglier than they are, or someone who's overweight who's actually really pretty, or really, a good-looking guy who thinks they're ugly because they're overweight. It's not just those things, right? A lot of people who struggle with body dysmorphia are very fit. A lot of bodybuilders and people, fitness influencers, struggle with it. So if you do, hopefully my story encourages you a little bit. It's something a lot of us go through. Not everyone. Like I said, Tyler, I can't name his last name. He doesn't struggle with it. He's got his own struggles. He's got his own mental health issues to deal with. That's not one of them. A lot of us do, not everyone. And if you do, everything I just said hopefully is helpful. A couple quick tips. One, maybe have someone that you love who can give you honest feedback, because even if you are still overweight, but you've been making progress, if you've lost 40 pounds, but you were 400 pounds, yeah, you're still overweight. But you're doing freaking fantastic. Like, you've lost 40 pounds. Good for you. You're looking great. You're probably feeling better. Get some encouragement from someone close to you. Like I said, I'd have my wife who was like, you're crazy. You look so skinny. I'm like, nah, I don't think I do. And she's like, no, you do. I'm like, well, at least you think that, and that makes me feel better. Other ways of measuring. Sometimes you get stuck. I've been stuck at trying to break 260 for about a month. I was like really doing well. I'm kind of stuck. I can't hit 259. And that's part of the the reset with the sensitivity and stuff too, because I want to come in January and I want to smash through that, and I want to get down to 255 and then kind of reevaluate goals from there. So I have to, when I get stuck, I have to use the mirror because I can see things thinning out. I can see definition on muscles. I can see striations coming in. I can see veins starting to pop out on my arms and shoulders and things like that, even though the scale isn't changing. So one, get someone around you who can give you honest but positive feedback. Two, use other methods of, don't just be like, oh, the scale's not moving, or the scale's going up and down. Use the mirror. The mirror, use how you feel. I don't feel like the mirror's looking any better either. Do you feel better? Yeah. Yeah, your inflammation's probably down. Like, dude, if you have a terrible diet and you're, overweight, you're not going to diet for 2 weeks and all of a sudden lose 20 pounds. You might, but typically not. Like, typically your hormones, you got to, readjust your hormones, get the chemical balances back in order. And one of the first things you're going to notice is before you really start losing weight, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to have more energy because you're dealing with the inflammation, you're dealing with the bloating, those kind of things. So, okay, this episode's already way longer than I thought it would be. We're at 21 minutes. Well, okay, 20 minutes is about what I was wanting. So we're going to wrap it up. Merry Christmas. Don't feel bad, even if you completely ate like a pig today. Unless you actually have some sort of eating disorder and you're on some sort of plan with a dietitian or a doctor. If that is the case, ignore everything I'm about to say. But for the rest of us, hey man, hey girl, freaking it's Christmas. We're celebrating the birth of our Savior. Go eat too much food, right? Like, it's one day. Don't let it become a week. One day, go have some stuffing, go have some turkey, or we do ham, right? My wife was like, oh, what do you guys want for Christmas? I'm gonna probably eat 4,000 or 5,000. Well, I probably can't eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories. I'm gonna try to eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories tomorrow or today. We'll pretend like it's I recorded this for Christmas. And I'm also going to probably go and do like a 2-hour workout and fuel the workout, right? Like, do you. Have a good day. Don't have a good week. Have a good day. And then get back to having a good week, okay? So don't feel guilty. And again, I know you're going to have leftovers. It's a season of eating, but have your one day of craziness and then still enjoy some good food, but more in moderation the day after Christmas. And don't skip on the gym. Don't wait for New Year's to get back in the gym. So hopefully that helps. I love you. You guys have a blessed day. Have a very Merry Christmas. And I will see you in the next episode.